Welcome to Star Wars Fandom Post-Cackle. That's right, everybody. Episode 9 teaser has come out, and we have been cackled, folks. So, we're back from Star Wars Celebration, which means we are back in the Resistance base. The base is open, everybody. Welcome back to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John Hoey. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is our first official episode after Star Wars Celebration. We hope you all enjoyed our podcast panel, which we recorded just for you if you weren't able to head to Chicago and come see it live. It was a hell of a good time. The crowd was into it, and we hope you felt it was just as good as being there. So thank you guys so much for enjoying that and participating in that with us after Celebration. But guys, time to get back down to business, and business be good, because we actually have a lot to talk about. Celebration always does that. So the tank is full, so it's time to talk about some Star Wars. And with me, as always, now back via the web, we have James Bainey, Lacey Gillerin. Guys, post-celebration, how you feeling post-cackle? How's your post-cackle life?
I don't think I've come back fully. What's that what's that thing they say in Shawshank Redemption? Where they're like, you get institutionalized? I feel Star Wars Celebration institutionalized, and then regular life is like just kind of floating through regular life. I'm like, what panel am I missing right now?
Yeah. Yep. So it's like withdrawal in a sense. Is that what you're kind of saying?
I guess so. Yeah.
Mm.
I was gonna say, did you just compare Celebration to prison?
Well, like in a yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I meant it in a good way.
Only in some line cues, maybe. But Lacey, how's your post-cackle life? Palpatine cackling away, and now here we are.
A great time to be a Star Wars fan, because now we have a villain, guys. And my voice is still a little iffy, but it's getting there.
Lacey described her voice as Lindsay Lohan on drugs.
Yeah, this was like 2
Lindsay
days
Lohan.
ago. It's gotten better now. Yeah, it's gotten better, but it's still a little raspier than usual.
This is our post-cackle episode, our post-Lohan episode. We are ready to podcast about Star Wars.
If I got $1 for every time you've said post-cackle.
Post-cackle. I'm just trying to make sure people know that we started that, just like Make Solo 2 happen, right?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We have a lot to get into, including talking about Make Solo 2 happen and the buzz that received at Celebration. But guys, what we're going to do here, we do have sort of a mishmash episode. We are going to do our poll results, and then we're going to hop into our recap for Star Wars Celebration. We're going to go through each day chronologically, talk about the official stuff that went down, stuff that we did, try to bring you into our experience having been there. And of course, want to get your thoughts if you went to Celebration in the comments, and if you didn't go, what your thoughts were on our coverage. James over there edited pretty much all of our videos for the YouTube channel. We hope you guys enjoyed those. And of course, thank you to our team at StarWarsNewsNet.com, who, while we were on the ground covering it, they were on the blog covering it for all you guys, including all the breakdowns and details of the interviews and the panels and all that stuff. So a lot of the great teamwork went into it, and it was a great success. We can't wait for 2020 Anaheim. We're going back, right?
Woo! We better be going back.
We better be going back. I told
so
Alex
many more
Backus,
fans to meet.
I hope you have a futon, buddy, because I'm sleeping on your futon, man. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, all right. So guys, why don't we hop into those poll results right now? Okay. So guys, speaking of Episode 9, or as we can now call it, The Rise of Skywalker, which I'm starting to get used to saying instead of The Rise of the Skywalker, Rise of the Skywalkers. Starting to figure it out. So we said, is that Kylo Ren in that TIE fighter that Rey backflips over in The Rise of Skywalker teaser? Gave you 3 options. 1 being, I'm not sure. 2, nope, somebody else. And 3, of course it is. And the results were 17% of you said about, I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe a little misdirection. Not sure. 23%. Nope. That's somebody else. They're trying to trick us. And 60%, overwhelmingly, said, no, they're being straightforward. That is Kylo Ren in that TIE Silencer modified ship. Guys, what do you think? Was it Kylo Ren? And were you shocked that about 3 out of 5 people recommend dentists and also say that Kylo Ren was the one in that TIE Silencer?
So true, John. I actually did on this vote the I'm not sure, and that's because I'm always like scatterbrained. I'm like, there's no proof, you can't know. But the reality of what I really do believe, I do believe that's him. I believe that these trailers really are pretty straightforward, and I don't believe there's a whole lot of misdirection with this stuff. You're supposed to be seeing Kylo Ren attacking Rey and her like dodging the attack, even though it looks like she's on the the low end. She has the low ground, if you will. But she does pretty good and showcases her power. So I do actually believe it's him, even though I'm not sure. But Lacey,
Okay.
I got a feeling you went for that option.
Yeah, I think it's definitely him. I mean, they show his gloves, and then behind his gloves, you can see that kind of like waffle linen fabric that he wears. It seems like him. Plus, in the video shown before the sizzle, before the panel started, they showed a clip of him in the desert scape. So
Yeah.
it's definitely him.
And
Okay.
I saw a video that showed there's like in that photo, there's like a red light kind of behind him. And then
I know you're joking right now.
no, I'm not actually. In the photo, there's a red light behind him, and in the shot where they show his hands, you can see the side of that red light. So they're definitely saying that
sorry.
that's the same.
You're talking
ship.
about that shot of him in the cockpit of whatever that
Yes.
is.
Yes, yeah.
And
Okay.
someone took
There's a
that
cockpit
picture
shot.
and brightened it up, and he's covered in sand.
So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
thinking it is him too.
I hate sand.
Of course, it is possible that those hands pulling those gears forward could be from a completely different scene, though. So
Yeah,
that could be because even though in the Last Jedi trailer, it's Kylo holding his hand out to Rey, her face was from when she was talking to Luke. So it's two
Right.
different scenes, you
Right.
know. So, a lot of people are like, oh, it's not misdirection. The trailers, they don't do that. I'm like, yeah, they do, and that's all right. Whatever. It's a trailer. They edit things.
and who
That's what I
knows? The reason they released that photo is to say we want people to think this is Kylo, but in reality, he goes, "Take my ship and find her."
Yeah, right. And
To-
it's Hux
to
or
someone,
something.
yeah.
What if it's Hux? He wears black
Yeah.
gloves. Who knows?
Tux
All
on a
right.
TIE
So
fighter would be sweet.
that would be kind of cool if he has his own little version.
Yeah,
When he's like, make it red because I'm a redhead.
make it kind of orangey
Make it orangey.
Guys are weird.
and pale with freckles.
Yes, I'm angry Hux again. I'm back. All right. So we had a best comment, and we actually met this individual at Star Wars Celebration. Came to our panel, and he has a twin brother. So twins are big in Star Wars, and twins are big in our fandom. He's also a patron of ours. Harris Ev9. Evan Harris. Good to see you. Nice to meet you, Evan. And way
Evan's
to
the
knock
best.
out this comment, buddy. And he said he's a big Kylo fan, and he said, "Of course it is. It's Kylo Ren. There's even another shot of Kylo in the desert, and this meeting could take place right after that sequence." So kind of what Lacey was saying right there.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it on straightforward wise, it makes a lot of sense. So good job there, Evan. And if you haven't voted on the poll, let us know what you guys think in the comments about that scene. Obviously, it was the first kickoff to that trailer when you saw her flip that everyone in the audience was silent and then went, whoa, 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 roll it again. Okay. All right, guys. So now what we're going to do here, we usually hop over to the Resistance Report, but it's going to be a little different. We are going to sprinkle the news in, but we're doing a chronological dive into our stay at Star Wars Celebration from Wednesday through Monday morning. So let's just hop into it right now, guys.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
We arrived Wednesday, and I think the first thing we could say is we met each other for the first time by James barging into the hotel room, filming us, and Lacey freaking out, and me being out of frame. And guys, that was cool. I'll never forget that meeting officially the three of us for the first time.
Yeah. And like I said, it's in one of the videos. I think it's on like the pre-day or Wednesday update or something, but kicking in the door and being like, "What up, losers?" And Lacey going, "Hug it out, bros."
Lacey's like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
Pretty weird to find out that John is as tall as he is.
John, I was just talking about how tall you are.
Everybody said that to me. I was like, what did they think?
John is so tall.
I think the thing is because they're assuming all three of us are the same height because that's what they see in the video. You know?
Yes.
I am short.
Yeah.
Short.
Right.
Actually, somebody told me that Lacey was shorter than they expected. So John was taller, Lacey was shorter. So
that got to be some kind of Freudian thing, right?
we're the Resistance nesting dolls, I guess.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
But guys, there were people taller than me though. Like Clayton.
Clayton Sandell is huge.
Oh man,
Clayton was like 6'4".
and Jonas.
Oh, Jonas! I was shocked. I have to admit, you're right. I thought he was like a 5'9".
Yeah,
I thought
He
they
was
put him
my
in
height.
stilts.
Jonas is my height.
Yeah, Jonas just wears giant stilts. Jonas being Jonas Sotomo, who plays Chewbacca, who's obviously like 6'11".
John is so tall that I
nice.
put on heeled boots one night and he was still like a foot taller than me. That's how
right.
tall John is.
I am tall. There it is, folks. The truth is out. So there you go. Guys, also Wednesday, we had a chance to head to the convention center because we had to get our media badges and stuff. And we got to see the mural for the first time. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this. If you didn't go to Celebration, there's a giant, I would say 150-foot wide mural that painted by, I forget the guy's name.
Jason Palmer.
Jason Palmer. And it encompasses the entire saga from episode 1 to episode 9. And the 9 part we noticed, we saw a chunk blacked out in the end, and we saw Daniel Kennedy there from Lucasfilm. And I'm no Columbo, but I was like, yeah, guys, that's probably episode 9 under that black tarp there. And Daniel Kennedy's like, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then everyone's like, what else do you think it is?
Yeah.
Idiot. I was like,
I will throw out there too that it was also Clone Wars, Rogue One, Solo, and Rebels.
Right. Yes.
And
so
no
they fit them in the
Resistance,
time.
which would have been really cool.
Yes. Yeah. And they made the Rebels. This was probably the talk of the day. They made the Rebels look like realistic, like actual humans, and
Yeah. And Asajj Ventress.
they
And
clearly
Ahsoka,
based
technically too. Yeah.
Thrawn on Pierce Brosnan.
Just
Yeah.
like Pierce Brosnan.
So
My
that
favorite
was
thing
the
about that mural was I tweeted a photo of with the black piece over it, and people started photoshopping what the black piece was. I think that was my favorite part of that day.
It was like Jar Jar's and George's, like
I'm a little embarrassed that we're talking about this because everyone who has the internet saw Lacey's photo.
Oh
That thing, let me tell you guys, that thing went viral like
It was a video, John,
like
if
a
we're gonna
monkey
be accurate.
virus in one of those horror movies from the 90s. That thing went everywhere, guys. So props to Lacey for going viral on Wednesday to kick
Stop
off
saying
Celebration.
that. It's so weird.
Okay. I'll say it at the end of the show, just as another refresher. Okay. Now, we also then went to dinner. We were lucky enough to be invited by one of our patrons, one of our best fans, one of the most positive fans that we've met, Mr. Scott J-Ro,
Love
who
Scott.
took us out to Giordano's for some deep dish pizza with Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained. And we got to hang out with those guys. So that was a good time. I had a good time there.
That was really fun.
I was really looking forward to that, and it paid off for sure.
It did pay off. The pizza wasn't as good as like talking with everyone and having a good time.
Right.
Did
Getting
you
picked up by a
like the
waitress.
pizza?
It was okay.
The pizza wasn't great. I like pizza in Connecticut better. Sorry.
Oh, you guys.
Connecticut
are nuts.
pizza is definitely the best pizza in the world.
Frank
so.
Pepe's
Yeah.
the best pizza.
That's what
Frank
everybody
Pepe's
says. You know what I
is the
mean?
best pizza.
Like New York and Connecticut pizza.
Connecticut's better than New York.
Connecticut
New
has
York,
the best
New York
pizza.
style and Connecticut style. Those are the two that everybody talk about. Nobody
Yeah.
ever talks about Chicago style.
Chicago was a little much for me. I'm more of a thin crust girl.
But it was good. It was good. It was good. And we stayed late enough where the waitress kept walking over and saying, "Can I get you guys anything else?
Is there
AKA,
anything else
get
you guys
out.
need?
Get out."
Like
Get out.
like an Uber?
Right. Yeah. Like close the door behind you. And James is like, "Can I get another soda, please?" No, he didn't do that. All right. So guys, I think that pretty much wrapped up Wednesday, right? So we take it to Thursday and we hit the show floor. Lacey, you went early, you went before us because you had the VIP pass. So why don't you tell everybody what that nut show was like, you going to the show floor?
Yeah, so as a lot of people know, I had the VIP pass. A lot of people ask me how I got it. It was pure luck. That's all I can tell you. It was pure luck. And so I did the check-in, which took some time. And then I had to wait to get into the show, into the store, which took some time. They were running late, and then the register was down, so I was stuck there for an extra hour. Overall, though, like the stuff they had in the store was really cool. It was a lot of original stuff. I only got a couple t-shirts. It wasn't anything crazy. I was mostly buying for other people, to be honest. And then I hit the show floor, and I got John a bracelet for a book that he never purchased.
Well, we'll get into that. That's Claudia Gray's fault.
And then I met up with these guys, and then we had our meetup. I mean, that's where our timelines converge.
Yeah. So then we wound up heading down, and we went to the show floor, and we kind of walked around. James filmed some shots, and we checked some things out. And the weird thing that started happening was people were pointing us out, and people were coming up to us and stopping us, and James was trying to film stuff, and I'm chatting with people, and I've never really been recognized before, so it was very foreign to me, but it was interesting. It was nice to talk to people, and some people were like, well, I saw your hat. And it's funny because I laughed because I was joking with these two that's my brand, and that's what people recognize me for. And
the lame hat.
Unfortunately, to Lacey's chagrin, James confirmed that some people did indeed say because they saw my Rebels hat, which is actually a baseball
hat.
Which exactly is why I made this Forces of Destiny Sabine hat, so that next celebration, everyone is gonna know who I am when I'm walking around. They're like, "There's only one person I know that has a Forces of Destiny Sabine hat." You know,
right? You're just gonna tape it to his head.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have to say it was just really bizarre all weekend long to have anybody come up to me and say, "Hey, are you so and so?" Because, like John said, I've always been behind the scenes. I've always been kind of like the person behind the camera, like taking the pictures or like going to meet other people. I've never been the person people are coming to meet. So it means a lot to me and to these guys that people came up to us, and it was so genuine and wonderful and made me feel really good. So thank you for that. It was weird though. So I apologize if I was awkward because I am. Sorry.
Yeah, it was. I gotta say, like, and I'll let James speak on this in a minute.
I thought you were fine, Lacey. Don't. You were never awkward.
I don't think you were. I think you were the opposite of awkward, quite frankly. But I'll let James speak on this in a minute because he has a prior world experience of this type of thing. But for me, I would joke
John and
about
I
it
didn't
at
know how
times.
to deal. Yeah,
because people would come up to me and say, "Are you John Hoey?" I was like, "Yes, I am." I'm like, "Wow!" And then I'd introduce myself and say, "Hi, my name is John," and they would say, "I know." I know theory confirmed, so I was in love with those people apparently. But then they would say, "Can I take a picture with you?" And I'd turn around like a Peter Mayhew behind me. Like, "You want to take a picture with me?" I'm like, "Okay, wow."
No one wants your picture, John.
Nobody wants my picture, but it was flattering and it was so cool, and I'm so happy to have met everybody, and I can't wait to do it again next year. But James, so you've had experience with this before, being in the band. You used to get stopped all the time. So was it weird getting those feelings back again, or did it feel good? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it felt weird, but it felt, I don't know. It's like, it just felt back at it. Like I was like, oh, I'm familiar with this. And like when somebody says, "Can I take a picture?" It's not weird because for some reason I just am, I don't know, I guess I could say I'm used to it. I've seen that before, and it feels weird to say that even out loud. Yeah. But at the same time, like I know what people, like I can read when people are kind of like feeling it out and stuff like that. And I can kind of tell what's going on because I did it for so long. I actually, I had one person contact me who does not know the podcast at all. And they wanted to meet me at Celebration specifically because of Prada, and brought albums and t-shirts and all this stuff to sign, which is interesting because that's one thing actually I did notice. Nobody Resistance broadcast related wanted signatures.
No one wants my signature.
Right.
No, I know you say that, but I said the same thing when I'm in the band. I'm like, you don't want my signature, but it's like, I don't know. I guess it's because if you have something like physical that like is a piece of work, whereas like in the podcast, we don't like print copies of the podcast, if that makes sense.
We should release the podcast on DVD.
I thought it would be funny if we did like our live ones, like, and we put it on CD and we released it like with album artwork and stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be perfect.
But no,
Gary the Poor.
yeah, that was something different because then when I met up with that fan, it was like, oh, this is a little bit different. This is a fan meetup in a different regard. It was this whole like, the way I listen to your music, changed me and helped me through stuff. And we hear that the same with the podcast, but I don't know. It feels different when the vibe is coming from like a piece of music as opposed to like a discussion. But yeah, he wanted me to sign stuff, which was really the only like difference between the two over the weekend. But yeah, it's always good. It's always a good feeling.
Yes.
Ugh, it's so weird talking about myself. Can we move on?
And come and talk to us more often, especially Lacey. Go and talk to her.
No.
Please. Yes.
So awkward.
You can find her always in the front row of every big panel. Okay. So then later that day, was that the day, correct me if I'm wrong, was that the day where we saw the big crowd surround Alex and Steve, or was that?
Yes.
Okay. So we did a meetup, a Star Wars Newsnet meetup. And we had a bunch of people come, and we took group photos and stuff. And we knew our friends, Black Series Rebels, who I first of all have to say, they were so awesome. We each have always supported each other since we relaunched our show, and they started their show around the same time. We almost saw it as like sister shows, as Alex put it. And they were so supportive of us all weekend, and we were so supportive of them. And the love was for sure there. And so we had set up a meet and greet around what they were going to do their pin drop, and our crowd started going over to them. So then we saw this like camera guy, news guy, pointed like a News Channel 9 local news by the X-Wing, and a bunch of people surrounding him. And we're like, wow, they must be interviewing,
celebrity.
Who knows, Wedge Antilles or an actor by the X-Wing or something like that. And then all of a sudden I see Steve, Steve's a big dude. He starts moseying over, and I don't think he walks like that, but he was moseying over like Steve does slowly. And all of a sudden, the whole crowd just like just starts swarming around them for their pins. I've never seen anything like that before. They got mobbed like the Beatles. That was interesting to see.
It made me super nervous to watch.
Yeah. Well, then Lacey gets in the mix and starts helping them hand out stickers. And turns out Lacey handed a sticker to Mark Thompson, the audiobook guy.
Yeah. So there are, as you guys know, I've said this a couple times. I used to work for ReadPop. I used to work for conventions for many, many years. So there's this like switch that goes off when you see something like that you're like, okay, what is going on? And you just want to help the situation because it could go terribly wrong in a split second. Like people don't realize how quickly things can go bad. So as soon as I saw that mob kind of morph towards them and them get surrounded, I like beelined it around a pillar to the back of the mob and grabbed Steve and was like, are you okay? Is everything okay? And then Alex turned to me once the pins were gone and was like, hand out these stickers. And I immediately started doing it, no questions asked, because anything to alleviate the situation, because that switch just goes off. It happened a lot over the weekend. And anytime I saw like a group of people, I'd be like, you can't stand here. You can't stand here.
Yeah. So that went down. I thought that was very cool for those guys. And then we wound up going out with them to dinner to ALULU Brew House, I believe it's called. And apparently the owner of that place is a big fan of our podcast, the Resistance Broadcast, and Black Series Rebels, and Force Center Pod. And Force Center Pod was podcasting there, but they were at capacity, so we couldn't go. So we just wound up doing dinner and drinks there until they were done. And then we went upstairs and met Ken Knapsack and Joseph Scrimshaw from that podcast. Spoke with them. They were nicer than anything. Although Ken Knapsack does the whole hooey thing that Alex and Steve do with me. So
we sorted it out. It's
squashed. But Joseph Scrimshaw was a very nice guy. He said he loves what Star Wars Newsnet does. So I thought that was really cool. And the owner came up to us, and I didn't even know he was the owner of the bar, and he had said he's a big fan of the Resistance Broadcast. So had we known, maybe we could have done something there. But it was nice to hear him say that. And again, just one of those things where you're like, wow, you don't realize how big of a reach you have, but then you get into that type of environment and people like what you do. So it was appreciated.
Yeah.
So that was a good night, though. I had a good time hanging out with those guys, BSR, and even with their whole crew. Good times.
Yeah.
The food wasn't great, but
mine was good. I like. They had some sauce. I was like,
I don't like burnt buns.
Please.
Burnt hamburger buns bother me.
I had a steak. It was delicious.
Lacey, you always get steaks. I'm finding
that is all I eat.
Yeah. The first time, one of the first times we podcasted with Lacey, she was in Florida or something like that. And she was podcasting with her, she had her coworkers there. They were down in Florida for something. And she's like, guys, I got to eat while we're podcasting. And she just gets like a steak delivered to her room. I was like, all right,
and then I had a steak here, and then John and I had dinner, late lunch dinner on Sunday.
Oh, you had a steak.
And I had a steak.
Yeah. So there
Guys,
you go.
I love steak. Bring me steaks.
Okay, so Thursday, that pretty much wraps up Thursday, I think. We did that, and we called it a night. And then Friday's the big day, guys. That's when the episode 9 panel hit. We parted ways. Lacey went to the Wintrust.
I want to be clear, though. It was very hard because I really wanted to hang out with you guys. So it was not easy.
Yeah, of course.
Because I just want to make clear that it wasn't a choice that I was like,
crying.
oh,
you
no.
were very upset that you got in front row to the episode 9 panel.
Right. It was
tears.
Right. Everyone goes through hard times in their life. And, losing a pet or...
You just got to...
You fail a test in school, you get the front row, the VIP section of a big panel for your favorite movie franchise where you're feet away from J.J. Abrams and company.
I also noticed on this list here, John, you didn't put that I was on NPR that morning.
Oh, I forgot about that. Go ahead. Tell people about your big, huge interview where you were with... what's that kid's name?
Anthony Breznican.
What's his name? Oh, he is a future, that guy. Anthony Breznican from Entertainment Weekly.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
So Thursday I get this message on Twitter, and John's going to say it's because I went viral. I got a message on Twitter that someone had seen my video from WBEZ Chicago NPR.
WBEZ. We're going to go to Lacey Gilren from Resistance Broadcast.
Yeah, so they had me on... If you're interested, I'm sure it's still listed on their website, but they wanted me to come on to give like tips and tricks for Celebration. They're like, oh, you're going to be on with Anthony Breznican. And I was like, oh, great. And long story short, I called in to the show next to the bathrooms in the arena because I couldn't get anywhere that was like somewhat quiet. Wow. So hopefully you can't hear the bathrooms in the background. But
any flushing going on?
Yeah. So, it was very weird. It was weird, but it was really cool. I gave some helpful tips and tricks, and my overall message was like, it's not about necessarily the panels or the exclusives or anything like that. It's just about like community and being together and meeting people that you've never met before that love everything that you love in the same place. And it was funny because Anthony Breznican was like, oh yeah, Lacey had posted recently a video of me on stage in 2015. And here we are on the phone, 3-4 years later. It's like she's my long lost sister. We're Luke and Leia. And I was like, I'll take it. It's fine. Sure,
That's
why
awesome.
not? They did take my phrase though, that Celebration is the Super Bowl for Star Wars fans. They used that in the intro. And I was like, that's mine.
I've never heard you say that before.
I have said that before.
Not on this podcast.
I'm saying it right now. I said it to the girl on Thursday and she was like, I'm taking that. And then surprise, surprise, it was like in the intro. But it was very cool. Meanwhile, I was in the actual room at Wintrust. You guys were at the Star Wars stage.
Right.
You were missed. I really wish I could have experienced it with you guys. But
you got to get a Happy Meal, right?
I did not take a Happy Meal, but I got a beanie.
You didn't take the Happy Meal. I heard that people were taking the Happy Meal boxes and trying to sell them on eBay.
Yep.
That is insanity to me, guys.
Yeah.
Can we like, is there a limit? A Happy Meal box? Come on.
If you watch the Celebration recap video that Star Wars posted, you can see me at the front of the VIP line the morning of the panel.
Yeah.
I'm in that video going, hooray.
And Lacey got me a beanie, which my son is now using. So very nice of you. Thank you very much.
Because John asks, Lacey delivers.
There we go, folks. James should have asked for that beanie. James is still very upset he didn't get the beanie, but he got
mad.
He got a T-shirt out of the deal
that Lacey made for John.
So there you go.
Yeah, let's recap this really quick. Lacey gets beanie for John.
That was a Sunday.
Lacey gets T-shirt for John. That's it. Story over. We sorted it out later.
Speaking of sorting things out, James and I had to sort our way through the mass crowd to get into a good spot to view the trailer.
You guys had a good spot.
On the Star Wars show stage floor, where there are thousands of people there. So James and I will kind of say what we were doing, and then Lacey can kind of give her take on what she was doing. But We met up with Bill Sheehy, who used to be on our podcast. I've never met Bill in person before, so it was nice to see him. And then a few other people from Imp Senate podcast, Claire and Charlie. Claire gave me a drink that she said was native to Chicago, and it had to have been because I drank that thing and it felt like I was drinking motor oil. But it was a good way to start that day. But James, you filmed the reaction of you and I watching this trailer, and I was shocked at my reaction because it wasn't one of those things where I'm like, I'm filming myself and I need to ham it up. Like whatever you saw. Me chewing my gum aggressively, me being like stoic.
You looked like a bro in a bar waiting for his team to win the World Series.
Yeah, that's what Lacey says. But
that's literally what you look like.
Yeah. But on second viewing, I cried.
Like
I was all over the place. James, what made you think to film that? And I hate reaction videos, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, no, actually, in a weird way, I knew I wanted to film a reaction video to a lot of the stuff that was there, and I'm actually glad in a way that we didn't make it into that arena because it would have been dark.
Yeah.
Later, when we get to the Mandalorian stuff, I tried to film the Mandalorian reaction, and it goes black, and there's nothing there. You can't see anything. But because we were in the lit room, we were able to get that and a lot of the reaction of the crowd around us and everything, and it really cataloged the whole moment. And then they said, roll it again. And so that was part of the reaction to that. Mm-hmm. Then we were able to watch it a second time. And there's even like a subsequent reaction to like stuff we didn't see the first time. We're like, is that the Death Star? Oh, it is the Death Star, so it turned out to be a really great video, and I'm glad that it happened. I will say about the panel too. I've heard a lot of people saying, I was like, yeah, you're not going to get any information. Let's go. Let's get it. I was not like that. I was thoroughly enjoying the panel. And to me, I had been waiting up until 11, and 11 was what I'd been waiting for because I wanted to see the panel and the reactions and who's there and all the different answers. Even if I understand all the answers are like, so can you tell us if you die in the movie? No, right. Of course not. I know that, but I loved seeing it, and it totally held me over to a point where I wasn't really thinking about the trailer. I just knew that this was all part of what we had been waiting for. It wasn't like get to the trailer. Yeah. And I loved it. I loved the panel. Steven did awesome.
If you guys haven't seen our reaction video, it's on our YouTube channel, Star Wars Newsnet and the Resistance Broadcast. Go check it out and let us know what you guys think. We do get a little emotional, but yeah, so getting to that panel, and then I want to get Lacey's take for being in the actual celebration stage. I agree.
I was on camera.
Lacey was on camera, so I texted her.
I happened
and I
to
said... I texted her and I said, make sure you keep smiling because they're zooming right up in people's faces. And they were. They really were. There were some people who had just like the resting face, and it's not a good look no matter who you are. So I was like, Lacey, make sure you're like looking like you're enjoying yourself because they're right up in there. But I agree. I thought Colbert did a great job. He clearly knows Star Wars. He made references that even there were a couple I was like, do I know that? But... I thought the panel was great. I thought the trailer was fantastic. We can talk more. Well, I guess we'll talk more about the trailer in depth next week. But I did find interesting the relationship between JJ and Kathy, and how kind of JJ would always defer to Kathy if there's something he didn't want to talk about. He'd be like, Kathy, what do you think?
Like there's a knife just behind his back,
just in case
that she's got. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know how to answer that, Steven. Wink, wink. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But being on that floor was great. Meeting fans, hanging out with fans, the crowd cheering and roaring. Those people were nuts. So not being at Wintrust didn't really hamper us. We were able to see it and hear it. So. All issues when you go to future celebrations, and if you don't make the celebration stage for the big movie, whether it's episode 10 or whatever happens down the line, don't worry because they got it covered, and I had a great experience either way. But Lacey, you were in the Wintrust Arena celebration stage, VIP up front and center, and you took great photos, and you were in the mix when Palpatine came out, McDermott, all that stuff. So what was that like? What was the highlight of the panel for you, and what's your biggest takeaways from it?
So I'm going to give like a jokey best part and like a serious best part. My jokey best part is when they brought up Rey and Kylo, and then they proceeded to talk about him being shirtless, and they were like, are there any other shirtless force timing moments. And she was like, no, there's no more moments. And then Oscar was like, only full naked moments.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. And then Stephen Colbert made a lightsaber joke. It was awesome. Bringing Dio out was really cool. The new like pizza cutter robot was pretty cool. But my favorite moment, honestly, was when they brought Ian McDiarmid out. Because I knew the moment I was staring at Ian McDiarmid, John was somewhere crying.
Yes.
And I knew that was the case from the moment the trailer played and I heard that cackle. I was like, John is losing it. John is losing it right now. And then when he came out, I was like, he's sobbing. He is somewhere crying like a baby that this is taking place. I miss seeing it with you guys, but at the same time, I love watching that video. I've watched it like, no joke, 20 times. I watched it last night just to like put myself in a good mood, and I tweeted it out, and it's just so
Lizzie's
great.
like falling asleep like to the video. Like it's ASMR
I'm not even
or
kidding.
something.
I watched it at like 11 o'clock or no, like 1 o'clock in the morning last night. But yeah, no, it's just so, I think, John, your genuine reaction when you hear the cackle, and I hate to say this, guys, I knew about this trailer before it showed, and I didn't tell John because I wanted his genuine reaction to Palpatine being back.
I'm glad. Yeah.
And he was mad at me, and that's why I didn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so I tried to explain it today because Amy Rakow talked about it to us.
You did
today.
tear up in the video. You're like wiping tears away.
So the first one was shock and like, what? Like, I can't believe I just heard that, and I started screaming. What? Oh my God! Yeah.
What?
And then he comes out on stage, and James and I are like this, like I can't believe he's, and then he says roll it again, and we start getting like pumped, and then I'm watching it the second time, and I don't know why the second time I got really emotional.
You did.
So like I guess the shock, the adrenaline was over, and then I'm watching the trailer, and the second viewing of the trailer, I didn't react much. I noticed I was just soaking it in.
No, you were like crying.
Yeah. I'm like, let me soak it all in, and then for whatever reason, he's the villain, and you hate the guy. I hear the cackle, and I started like welling up, like I didn't understand why, and I was like doing that thing where I was like, I try to keep the tears in the pocket of your eyes so they don't fall down your face. So I was like trying to like do this.
There was a moment where you
Crazy.
turn to the camera and you go, because you're trying to keep it together, and it's so cute and genuine. It's very adorable.
Yeah, I don't know if you were that emotional, James. What was your? Did you have a different reaction the second time, or what was your thing? He's probably just looking for the Easter eggs. I know it.
No, to be honest with you, I had a bunch of emotional moments throughout the weekend, but not for the episode 9 thing. The episode 9 thing was pure excitement.
Okay.
My favorite thing for James was you were like, it's the metal. It's the metal. And then you were like, it's the Death Star. Like you were just naming things. Whereas John's just going, what?
Well, because usually when you're doing reaction videos, you're not just going to sit there for the whole time. So you're like, okay, Ray, that's cool. All right. So I was like, I started off kind of narrating. And then by the end of it, I was like, I don't care. What?
You did scream blue when the text came up blue. I remember that.
Yeah, you did. You were so excited about the color of the text.
Yeah, so it was funny because there's like it's like a roller coaster. So there was a big crazy excitement for the cackle, and then it drops down as soon as the logo comes up because we're all silent. And then for me, just alone, I went blue. It was like one crazy spike because I noted the color. You know, it was yellow and then red, and now it's blue. That's official. It's blue. But I was still waiting, and then the rest of the audience, just like the Palpatine yell, was like the title. It comes up, but it's so funny to watch everybody. It's like ah,
yeah,
ah!
Yes.
It's like everybody freezes for a second.
I want to ask Lacey because when the title came up in our room, it was post cackle, so we're all kind of feeling that. But then we all kind of just like threw our arms up in the air, maybe because we saw the word Skywalker, I'm not sure, but we were all immediately just like, or maybe just because we finally saw the damn title.
Yes, yeah, that's what I would think.
What was the title
it,
reaction in Wintrust?
all I can remember is myself screaming, which my video is on Twitter. It's annoying AF, guys, because all I do is scream the whole time. It's not as fun as theirs is to watch. Mine's just me yelling and screaming and saying Kylo.
Saying Kylo.
And it's dark a lot of the time, too.
Yeah. And then the lady next to me was like freaking out. So the majority of the video, the screaming and stuff, is the lady next to me. Her name is Alice. Hi, Alice, if you're watching. She was freaking out. The title at the end, people lost it. Everyone was standing. Everyone was screaming and had their hands up in the air. And then when he came out, everyone lost it. Like it got even louder because everyone was like, oh my God, and like freaking out. The funny thing that most people don't know is that they actually played a video before the trailer of like this like legacy video of where Star Wars has come from with behind the scene footage that no one's ever seen, with certain clips that aren't finished clips for episode 9. They didn't show that at the stage, which bothers me because I know John is a huge Han fan and there was some really cool Harrison Ford footage. That video played, I actually started straight up crying in that film or that video, and I had straight up tears streaming down my face, and the camera guy's in my face, and I was like, can you not? Yeah. Because I'm like trying not to cry on camera. So it's funny you guys see me right at the beginning of the panel because that was right after I'd cried, and I was like, please don't show this, please don't show this, please don't. And I'm like wiping like crazy.
They were probably purposely looking out for people who were reacting that way, you know?
I couldn't stop it. It was like one tear after the other coming down my face. Like to the lady next to me offered me a tissue. That's how bad it was. It was so emotional. They're
good at making those types of things. And I imagine they're now whatever they do after episode 9 to do the 1 through 9 type of thing is going to be crazy. It
was honestly for me, it was one of those things that it was like a video about how Star Wars has changed everybody's life and made so many different things. And we're going to get into it in a little bit, guys, about how this weekend has changed my life forever. But I had just been so emotional leading up to this panel only because of knowing it's the end of Star Wars in a way with the saga. But they showed so much Carrie footage and it just kills me to see. Even though it's been a while, it's still like kind of fresh. So
I think seeing her in the trailer and you're wondering, is that composite? Is that her? Is that, you know?
I think the Daisy side they reshot and that's why she's crying.
Yeah, and I had brought up someone that you know, and I think we're gonna do a bigger deep dive next week on the trailer, maybe even something on the Patreon page. But you know, the word was that Billie Lourd was a stand-in for her, so that could be her and Daisy Ridley, like really just embracing the fact that they're doing that for her mom, and those tears are absolutely real. So it's gonna be a powerful movie for many reasons, that being one of them.
Right.
But we have to speed along here a little bit. So I guess the last thing with the episode 9, we heard Kathleen Kennedy say that it was kind of in the works that Palpatine was in the mix. So that's something for us to keep an eye on later. But
and George Lucas was for it.
Yeah, they talked to George Lucas too. So we will dive back into that next week. But again, we're just trying to run through our celebration calendar here, guys. So we're going to speed along. So don't worry, that we'll talk more about the trailer for sure later. But so Friday, we also had to bring up that we went to Clayton Sandel's panel. He did a panel covering Star Wars with a dais of people who do cover Star Wars. And, you know, we love Clayton on the podcast. And let me tell you, meeting him in person, he's just as good, if not even a nicer person than he comes through as a reporter and on the podcast and stuff. So I was so happy to have met Clayton. I'm glad he did his panel and all that stuff. So you guys met Clayton. What do you guys think about hanging out and meeting Clayton?
He's huge.
Yeah. Very tall.
Like, I just wanted him to put on Kylo Ren's costume because he's that tall. Like, he's huge.
Yeah, you say I'm tall. I'm 6'1". I think Clayton's like 6'4". So
yeah, he's huge.
But hands down, when I went up to him after his panel, I was like, "Hey, Clayton, John from Star Wars News." That he like jumps off the stage and hugs me and gave me the best hug of Celebration Weekend. Clayton Sandel, giving out the Celebration Awards. There you go, right there. But he hosted a great panel. I don't know if it might be online. I'm not positive about that. I think it is. So you go check it out. Bresnikan's on there. Amy Rakow's on there. A great panel about covering Star Wars. So go check it out. Okay, now we moved to Saturday, right, guys? We didn't do much else Friday besides me and James driving around Chicago looking for cables.
Yeah, had to make a cable run all the way across town to go to a Guitar Center. Closed it at 9.
We got there at 8:55.
8:55.
I did the Kessel run. I like 10 parsecs.
Yes. And then I texted Lacey and said, "Do you want to order pizza?" She said no. And then like 30 minutes later, we were still like trying to sort out food.
Brutal. Good thing we had that market at the hotel.
It's the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but the way you phrased the question was, do you want pizza? And I said no, not will you order us pizza? I would have said yes.
Well, yeah. I don't want to get into it.
We won't get into it. James's GPS sucks.
We were trying to be nice and include you in the dinner. So if you didn't want it, we weren't going to say, then get it for us. Yeah. Anyway.
In the comments, just write, James's GPS sucks.
No, don't do that.
Okay. All right, guys. Saturday, we had, I want to talk about our panel mostly. So let's just say Galaxy's Edge panel. I thought, it was okay. James has the T-shirt. They announced that they're going to be featuring Earth drinks there, but as Star Wars-y sort of thing.
I actually really liked that too. I'm a design person, so I thought it was really cool. That
they look like little remote mines or whatever. Yeah,
they look like thermal detonators.
You can tell just by the way they're designed, the colors and stuff, that it's Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, and Dasani. And I'm like, dude, it looks cool. Like you don't even need to read that it's in English. It's like the style is done.
I wonder if you ask for a Coke, if they're going to be like, what? And you have to say what it is. No, right.
Probably not. They might do that.
I didn't think that panel was that good, to be honest. I feel like everything we saw there, we kind of had already seen. I thought Josh Gad was pretty good, but he had to carry people who aren't personalities. So guys who design theme parks, if you can imagine what that's like, listening to them talk for an hour. Though Matt Martin was great from the story group.
Yeah, they let that child on stage.
They let the young man on stage, and that was the only funny bit. So that I felt like Josh Gad had to keep beating that bit over the head, unfortunately, and Matt played along, which was cool. But it was cool to hear them talk about the park. But I felt like it was more of a stuff like we kind of already knew. But it was cool to see the stuff on the big screen anyway. And then
they played some music too, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So they played a new hit by the Modal Nodes. And they played a new song that's going to be an all droid band, and it was kind of like this. I don't want to say dubstep because that puts
right.
Was it DJ Rex? I thought. Oh, they said it was an all droid band.
Yeah, it was for DJ Rex in the cantina.
Oh yeah. That he'll spin the track. Yeah.
Yes.
But but yeah, no, it was cool because it was like this like digital kind of thing, but it was still like really chill. Like I like some of the music that they were coming up with it, and then obviously all the music is John Williams and stuff, and they talked about all that. So very cool. I'm excited for Galaxy's Edge. Just it was kind of one of the vibes coming out of the thing. It's like the Clone Wars probably should have been this, you know what I mean? And then make Galaxy's Edge like an everyone can attend thing or something, you know?
Yeah.
But
okay, next.
Yeah, I figured you didn't have much to say about it, Lacey. You'll go when you go.
I feel like we've talked this into the ground. Yeah. Next.
So Fallen Order, that was a very successful panel, I thought. I thought it was very impressive. Cameron Monaghan came out. He's a good personality, and the guys who made the game talked about what it was like making the game. It's the first story Star Wars game in a while. Fans are excited about that. You won't have to buy extra things to play this game. So are you guys gamers? What do you guys think about that panel? What do you guys think about the trailer for it? Are you excited about Fallen Order?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I haven't really gotten into gaming for a while now. I used to be a pretty big gamer. I played a lot of Halo back in the day and Call of Duty, but I haven't gotten into like very story games besides Kingdom Hearts is like the only kind of story-based game that I've really been into. Battlefront was cool and all, but it gets boring after a while because it's the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm really excited for the Jedi story fantasy game. I love the aspect that you start off like a Padawan, not knowing much, and you build your skills and powers over time. So the more time and effort you put into the game, the more you're going to get back out of it. I love the idea of the time frame it takes place. And I love BD1, the droid that hangs out with Cal. I think a lot of care and time went into this game, and I think it's time to have a game that isn't a shooting game.
Yeah, like
so
a
I'm pretty
multiplayer,
excited.
Right.
I don't know what I'm going to get it for yet, either PS4 or Xbox, because I have both, but I feel like I'm going to go with PS4 because PS4 tends to be a little bit better with the story side.
There you go. Do you have a PS4, Lacey?
I have both. PS4
Then
and
I'm
Xbox.
coming over to play because I'm not buying a PS4.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
James, are you your Xbox?
We're starting a Twitch channel, apparently.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I
You
should
wanna watch me
start
lose
one.
at video games? Sure.
Yeah.
I'll own him.
Probably.
No, I'm always excited for something that's this in depth. The story thing just sounds awesome. Coming out of it, I did say so. It's I love Kanan Jarrus. He's my favorite character. It's kind of another Kanan story.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. I like his story, so I'm interested to hear it from a different perspective. But at the same time, it was a Jedi who got away from Order 66, and then he went into hiding. He had a normal job, and then he felt that he had to save someone's life, so he used his power, and he got outed, and now he's on the run. But then on the run, he tries to learn. He learns a little bit more about what it means to be a Jedi, and he kind of comes out of, you know what I mean? It's all the same stuff, but in the same way, it looks really good, and I actually think they lost a little bit because they could have really won it over if they showed some gameplay, but I don't think they were ready to pull that trigger yet. But had they shown like, this is in-game footage, this is some action happening, I think people would have been like blown away. But the vibe out of it was like, yeah, we know CG,
Right.
It looks good, but this is just a FMV, so. There's
But
that.
the thing to say about the trailer, though, is that the trailer was actually rendered in the game engine.
Yes.
So that's the big
Yes.
thing, is that the stuff that you're seeing on the screen is what you're going to see in the game. And that's a big deal
Yes.
because I know oftentimes you see these amazing trailers for video games and then you play the video game and it looks nothing
That's
like
true.
the trailer or the cutscenes or anything like that. So it's kind of cool that they're like specifically like, guys, this was rendered within the game engine. Like, this is what you're going to see.
I almost forgot that I was watching a panel for a game. I almost was like, this is a show.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning. And then I'm like, oh, wait, this is a game. I got to remember that. But
It also includes the second sister.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. And she's able to manipulate things with the force, and like she was
Like
turning
the
a dial.
helicopter
Right.
controls, right?
So that's that.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm definitely going to check it out at some point. And I'll play it at Lacey's because I don't want to buy a PS4. So there you go.
One thing
You're more
that
than
got added
welcome.
after the fact. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but the character BD1,
Yep.
Matt was talking about that character later, and he's like, "Oh, he's awesome. He's so cool."
Who's
he's
Matt?
Matt Martin.
Oh, you're on
we were
first
talking
name
about it
basis
earlier.
now? Is that what it is?
Well, I'm just saying. But anyway, he was talking about him, and he was like,
talking
"Oh,
to
he's like the
Pablo
takeaway
about,
character. He's
yeah.
everybody's favorite. He's really awesome." And I also later found out that he is voiced by Ben Burt.
Ben Burt, who is the all-time legend sound designer for Star Wars since back in the day. So if you hear a pew pew sound in Star Wars, it came from that guy banging a pen on a wire. So he is an absolute.
So he is personally
legend.
voicing and creating the sound of that character's voice, which is really cool.
Yep, and it's also based on the guy that helped write the narrative of the game, his dog,
His
which
dog,
is a callback to kind of Chewbacca type thing with George Lucas.
Boy and his dog.
which his dog's name was Indiana, which was why they made the Indiana reference in Indiana Jones. So there you go.
Woo.
Okay, guys. Now let's move on to our panel. We
don't care about Rebels Remembered.
we've remembered Rebels. That's pretty much it.
Yay,
There
Rebels.
wasn't a whole lot of
Next.
exciting stuff there. It was a lot of.
I'm just saying for the sake of time.
Yeah. It was a lot of like stories of telling of when they were recording and what it was like, knowing information that no one else knew, and
Right.
a bunch of stuff, but nothing revealed. They said that before, so not a whole lot.
And
we can
James
talk about.
screamed out, "Freddie, come on the Resistance broadcast!"
Freddie wasn't there.
I know that's why it was weird that you screamed that. He didn't really do that, but I imagine him having done that. Okay, now our panel guys. I remember just trying to like prepare for this thing, and it took a lot. It took a lot to put this thing together. We had some battles about it. We had some fun putting it together, but ultimately, I feel like we really put together a good show for you guys. We may be able to try to give you guys a Patreon look at how we put that thing together at some point for you guys out there on our Patreon page. Thanks for all your support. But I remember just leading up to that thing, being nervous, and then we get there and all hell broke loose. So you guys watched this thing on Monday, but what you don't realize is that as we were about to start, all our tests work out, It's like Apollo 13. Everything was great, and all of a sudden we get to the real deal.
And we were like the most prepared panel, I feel like. Not that anybody is. I feel like we were over prepared.
Yeah, I think we were so prepared. It was ridiculous.
I had
almost.
4 backup plans. So I was like, I think this will be fine, but I have a backup, another backup. They said there was a backup, and then there was a backup on top of that. All failed.
So 6:55 rolls around, and all of a sudden we realize this isn't working.
You mean 5:55?
So I apologize. I'm on East Coast time here. 5:55 Central Time.
in his head.
Things aren't working, and James starts bugging out because everything should be working, and there was no engineer there. So Mark Newbold's there, we're trying to hit buttons and get things to work, and we couldn't figure it out. So they had to go call for an engineer. In the meantime, I start saying things to the mic, and then Lacey gets on and does DJ Elliott's bit to get the crowd involved.
Which the best part about it is that he then did it the next day.
He did the next day. I handed out sunglasses to everybody, so we're trying to kill time as James and Newbold and everyone else is trying to get the sound working. Eventually, we did get it working. The crowd stuck around, and they were nice enough to say, "We'll push your 45 minutes out 15 minutes so you can do your full panel."
Yes.
And we were able to pull it off. Guys, I still see that as a dream. I thought it went off perfectly. The crowd was the biggest part for me because they were so responsive to our bits, to our discussions, between the questions and the JJ call and all that stuff. I was so happy with how everything turned out, culminating with the final bit where we kind of said, "See you around, kids," and did the selfie, and the standing ovation is just insanity to me. But to capture that in the photo put the cherry on the sundae for me. What are your guys' overall thoughts on our podcast panel? I'm sure, and again, later we can elaborate more on it.
It was pointed out later that we were wearing yellow, red, and blue.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that ended up happening. Kind of a really cool coincidence, but at the same time, maybe our subconscious Star Wars brains, we connect so well. We have that chemistry. I think maybe we didn't even put that together, but we even had discussions where it's like, "Oh, I'm going to wear red. No, I'm going to wear red. Okay, well then I'll wear yellow." Like we're like piecing together what we're going to wear, and we're not even realizing that it's like Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker all going into this. So it's kind of funny that happened, but just in general, I think everybody gets a kick out of like the back and forth between each of us and our answers and how they're so different, yet we accept the different answers from each of us. I just think everything went really well for all the people that have been listeners for a long time. Thank you. I know you guys are listening now. And for all of the people that maybe we convinced to come and check us out, or they knew Star Wars didn't know we had a podcast, and they're like, "Oh, well, they're here and they're podcasting. I'll go check it out. This is cool." I even know some of our fans said, you got to come. Like, I know you've never listened, but you got to come and check them out. And people coming up to us at the meet and greet afterwards saying, I'm bought. You got me. I've officially subscribed, new listener. So you guys are listening now. Thank you for coming to the show, giving it a chance, and having a good time. Yeah, that was the most important thing, and it was great. Loved it. So much fun. I want to do it again. Can we go to more?
For sure. Lacey?
It was overwhelming. I'm very good at dealing with stress if something's going wrong. So I feel like I would have been worse off if something didn't. I would have been worse off if something didn't go wrong, because then my fight or flight doesn't kick in. It's just kind of like my anxiety kicks in. So because James was having technical issues that were out of his control, I kind of just kicked into like fail safe. Like what do I need to do to waste time? So there was actually a couple moments that stick out to me. One moment was when James was figuring things out, when things hadn't gone bad yet. And by bad, guys, I'm exaggerating. It was literally 10 minutes. It wasn't that big of a deal. I see John go out the back door and I'm like, where is he going? So I go out there and he's standing there and I'm like, you good? He's like, I just need a minute. And there was this like 30 seconds that John and I stood there and we were just standing there and we didn't say anything and we were just like, okay. So then we went back inside. That sticks out to me. And then on the panel, I'm glad that my spray bottle bit went over really well.
I did not know. I knew she was doing it, but I did not know she had it on Jetstream.
That was by accident, guys.
Thought it was a mist.
For those people that obviously it's funny no matter what, but there was a little bit of a background to it. Whereas every time John says that Kylo Ren's going to die or, makes a joke about Reylo or anything online, I tend to send him this GIF from Modern Family of him spraying Manny. Not John spraying Manny, like the Al Bundy guy spraying Manny. And it became this thing that I was doing like weeks leading up to this panel. So I was like, I want to do that in real life. Like, I think that would be hilarious. So I went to Target. I bought the spray bottle. It was like $1.50. I filled it up with water, brought it with me, put it under the table. And I hadn't planned when I was going to do it. I kind of said I was going to do it when he brought up Kylo Ren at any point, but it just seemed the perfect time to do it when you brought up that Reylo question that I was like, just answer the question, John. And it went over really well.
You didn't do it too much either. You didn't need to do it too much. It was like twice.
I only did it once.
Perfect. No, twice. You did it
Twice.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it was the same question, I think.
Second time was right in the ear.
She blacked out for the second one. She doesn't remember that.
And you almost didn't bring it. You almost said, should I bring this or not? And I was like, yes, you have to bring that.
Yeah. So, but the jet stream part, guys, was
John
an accident.
the martyr over
I was planning on doing like a mist. And I was fooling around with it in the room and I was like, oh, look, it's got like a jet spray. And I forgot to switch back. So he got it right in the ear. I remember seeing water inside of his ear as I was looking at him. And I felt so bad because I was like, well, I hope he doesn't get like swimmer's ear from the hotel water. The other thing that really stands out to me is just at the end of the panel when everybody was kind of clapping for us or we were kind of winding down, the emotions kind of hit me and I almost cried.
And the TRB chants, whoever started those caught on.
Yeah, it was just really overwhelming. And I said it in the panel, but for a long time I've been searching for the belonging that I have now, and I'm fidgeting sitting here thinking about it. Just the idea that I found people that I kind of belong with really meant a lot, and to see a group of almost 200 people, if not 200 people in front of me that were supporting what I was saying and supporting me liking this. Whereas growing up, it wasn't necessarily the cool thing to like it yet, was super meaningful. And I loved it. And I wouldn't pick anybody else to be on that stage with than you guys.
Oh, jeez. Now I am getting red. Well, thank you very much, Lacey.
You're welcome.
I don't know what else to say. See, James is really red now. He just put his red shirt over his face for the audio people. Again, it was like a whirlwind to me, and I had joked all week on Twitter. I was like, it's going to be like in Big Fish, where at the end he sees all the people he told the stories about, and he's being carried to the water, and then he just gets sent out down the river. And then I said that at the end of the panel, and I was like, it really does feel like that, because I'm looking in the audience and I'm seeing Black Series Rebels who've been such good fans of ours as we have been of theirs, and supporters of ours, and they asked us if we needed any help. Then I see people that are patrons of ours, and I'm seeing them in person. I'm seeing listeners of ours who have been with us since the beginning. I'm seeing new people. I'm seeing people with their parents, and it's just all this collective of people and awesome people all in that one room there for us. And it was insanity to me. And that's why I said, the fun ends here for now, but we're really going to get it going now when we get to meet you guys and hang out and stuff. And when I said, see you around, kids, and got up and they all stood up, that will never, I want to chase that feeling. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, there was one moment that I'll never forget as long as I live, and I apologize because in my emotional craziness, I'm blanking on the person's name. I believe it's also John, but if I got it wrong, I apologize. And he came up to me right after the panel ended, and he had said to me, "It's me and my girlfriend. We're here." Last week on the episode, you were asked to give your best advice for celebration, and your advice was to pick one thing every day that you had to do, that you couldn't miss. And if you do that one thing, then you'll never be disappointed because everything else is a bonus. And he looked at me and he goes, I just want you to know that this was my one thing today. to come to your panel and see you. Guys, I started crying. I started crying
God.
right there.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
what are you
tough
doing?
to-
And then we go back to the room to drop everything off. And John's telling me that James thanks him for bringing me on the podcast. Then I'm crying again.
That
It
happened.
It was, John actually hugged me. It was a very friendly moment.
It was. Yeah. The things people said, and again, we have to thank Mark Newbold, Fantatrax, StarWars.com. He is not only such a nice guy, and I was happy I was able to buy him a beer. Good hugs, wonderful guy, and the patience dealing with all of our different podcasts questions. There's about 25 different podcasts, handling the scheduling, all that stuff. Thank you so much, Mark. Again, I may have forgotten to say that at the panel itself, but I know I showered with you with compliments after, and thanked you and bought you the beer. And again, we just have to say thank you so much. You are the absolute man. I hope you're the only one who does that going forward. You're the best. So thank you, Mark. And yeah, again, I guess we are going to put him on the spot. James came up to me after the panel and pointed across the room at Lacey and said, "Thank you for finding her," or something like that. Right, James?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing was that I was noticing was because of all the technical difficulties, like I wasn't my normal Prada James, I understand how to be on stage and stuff. And I mean, there's probably some little bit of like out of practice thing, but I really was like, there were so many times I was like, what's going on with the audio? What's going on with the video? I noticed things about the video. You guys saw on the Monday episode that there's, some like switches and stuff. And that's because there was also technical failures with the video stuff too. So, but I was just like out of it in a small way. And I noticed that more often than not, I was being saved by Lacey. I would like say certain things and then she would be like, not really, but like what he's trying to say is, and then nail it, like just completely win over the audience with that. So I don't know. I was just like, man, she's so good. And like we're kind of thrown a little bit, but for some reason, as much as she tries to say that she's not good at this or nervous or something, she mentioned earlier fight or flight or something kicked in, but just like 100% does it. And it just flashed back to all these people that are saying like the three of us are really good. And so I was like glad that, me and John joined at the same time, but when we were like looking around and stuff that he was the one that said, I think we found someone that could work, and it ended up being perfect. So
this is painful for me to listen to.
That's what I said. So
again, a great experience. If you haven't watched it yet, or listened to it, it's on all our formats, just like our we treated it as our Monday episode, but of course it was a special event and it was live. It was our podcast, but also we sprinkled in some stuff for an interactive live audience. Thank you to everyone who participated in Will of the Force. I thought that was cool. Enfys, yes. No Dameron. That was very cool. It's just a great time, and we'll again talk about it more down the line. But we got to speed along here as time is of the essence. This is a long episode, but I hope you guys are enjoying us bringing you into our experience at Star Wars Celebration. These only happen.
Worthy. Yeah,
these only happen, once in a year, once every 2 years. We'll see. Certainly next year. But that's it for our panel. We did a meetup after, gave out all our swag, met other people, other podcasts. People came up to us. We ate the 501st cake that they left over for us.
Yeah.
I took their cake. They were like, I was like, you can leave the cake.
It was so good.
Lacey took
and
their
I don't
cake.
like cake normally, actually.
It was a Wampa cake.
I bought Lacey a beer that she asked me to buy her, and then she disappeared.
I went to go find her, then I disappeared.
And then it was just me, and I realized our listeners started talking amongst themselves, and I wasn't even needed anymore. And I was like, okay.
But I love
me and
all
Lacey
those people.
kept waiting for John to jump on a tauntaun and come and rescue us, and he never did.
I never did. I didn't want to go in that part of Hoth for sure.
I had one of the best nights of my life with all of you guys. So you know who you are. You were there. And to all the listeners that couldn't make it, I hope to meet you eventually in person, because it is so fun to hang out with you guys. And it's not weird at all. It's like seeing old friends. We like immediately like clicked with all these people, and it's just really awesome.
I wonder if we should try to do a live event, like maybe later this year, and see if we could pull something off, like a small thing. But definitely 2020. Our eyes are on 2020, whether that's on the podcast panel, somewhere offsite or both.
Yeah.
I
Fan
love
stage,
the
who
experience
knows?
so much.
Whatever we apply for and get, you know.
Yeah, I love the experience so much that I'm down to keep doing that, as you said, James.
Celebration stage, whatever they want to put us on.
Whatever, yeah. Okay, now let's move on from that to Sunday. Sorry. The Mandalorian, guys. We were all at Wintrust for this one. I will just simply say, I know people are upset that they didn't get to see the footage, and I understand that.
We're not allowed to talk about it either.
Oh, we can talk about it.
No,
We just can't
kidding.
leak it. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
We don't want to leak it. I guess it did leak. Some people saw it. But I really liked what we saw from this. Lacey and I, as we said in our reaction video, which again is on our YouTube channel, James edited all the videos all weekend to give you guys the experience. So thank you, James. We kind of said me and Lacey weren't really on board with this from the beginning. We were shocked they were doing a series called The Mandalorian about a random Mandalorian.
I got quizzed about it before the panel, and I didn't know what to say.
She said, I like the armor. And she got
I like
quizzed
the
by
armor.
We'll get into who she met in just a second, but I just want to say I was very impressed with the scale, the scope, the production, the outlaw vibe of it. I am sold now, finally, on The Mandalorian. Even the music sounds interesting. How they made the effects. Jon Favreau is a no-brainer to me. You got Dave Filoni in the mix. All the pieces seem to be there to launch Disney Plus with a successful first Star Wars series. So, what were you guys' takeaways? I know we covered it in the video, but I'm really excited for November 12th and knowing that one episode a week will take us to the end of 2019 to wrap up that season 1, so we don't have to binge it all in once, which we know we all
John,
would
we could
do.
watch them together.
We could have watching parties. We'll get James on the Skype or something, right?
OMG.
Totes with goats.
The whole time leading up to the Mandalorian panel and celebration in general, I was like beating the drum. I'm like, this is going to change Star Wars forever. People aren't even ready to, get what they don't know, and it turns out that they didn't show anybody any footage except for the people at Celebration.
Right.
So I can say now, like, I'm home and, I'll run into friends and stuff and they're like, oh man, the Mandalorian sounds awesome. And I'm like, sounds awesome. It sounds cool whenever they decide to show footage,
Yeah.
So there was, there's some photos and I think there was a little bit of like behind the scenes stuff that was seen. So people are still kind of throwing that into the I haven't really seen anything yet. But it sounds cool. It's good to know that we got some more information about the characters and their backstories and the kind of the vibe of the show and stuff. But coming from someone who has seen it, it definitely feels like long form Star Wars. It definitely feels like they took Star Wars and turned it into like some of the scenes are just a little bit longer than they need to be because they can stretch it out to an hour. So, that's I'm trying to say this in a good way, but like that's always kind of been my thing about TV is that it doesn't, some of this stuff feels a little drawn out. Like the conversations are a little longer than they need to be.
A little Tarantino-y.
But I am someone that's in the minority on that, and I think that people love that stuff. That's the, like, do I love the Game of Thrones movie, or would I want Game of Thrones like the television show? Like, people will take the television show all day because it's more content, more time they spend with the characters. I really think that if Rebels or Resistance was a show, people would like lose their, like a live action show, people would like lose their minds. And this is the first opportunity they're going to get to do that. And I really think Mandalorian can change the game of Star Wars. Then people might actually start looking at television more so than the movies. And I know that's hard to believe. I've said that before, but we'll see. You'll see. I've seen. You'll see.
Lacey, who can you name drop somebody that you met at the beginning of this panel, please?
So at
Don't
the
say
beginning
Matt, because people won't know who that is.
Matt who? Matt Martin?
Yeah, James'
Case
best friend.
closed.
No. So guys, because I was on the camera on Saturday, I was like, I'm gonna like sit a couple rows back. I'm gonna like just chill. I was legit stuffing my face with popcorn. So if anybody doesn't know, because you haven't sat with me during a movie, my husband likes to call me a vacuum. Like, I'm just like, like nonstop. So yeah, exactly. So I'm just chilling, enjoying my popcorn. Just like, hey, I've been here since 7:30 in the snow waiting to go into this panel. My hair is just like in a messy bun on the top of my head.
It was disgusting out.
And I waited in that for an hour and a half.
The Amanda Snow.
So
or what was it?
I was just chilling, and Warwick Davis comes out, and he does this thing where he goes around the audience and talks to people, but he zooms by on his little Segway. So I thought, oh, that's going to be a fun video of him going by me. So I put my phone up, and I'm eating my popcorn while he's about to go by me, and he drives right up to me, and he's like, hey there, we got this lady eating popcorn. I was like, in my head, I'm going, eating is an understatement. I am shoveling this popcorn into my face. And he was just like eating my popcorn and then asking me what I thought of The Mandalorian. And he goes, so why are you here? And my first response is, I like Star Wars, which then eventually people were laughing about online. And like, some lady just said the reason she's here is she likes Star Wars. Duh. I was like, that's me.
Did that go viral too?
Well, not viral, but people were talking about it. So then, because they didn't show my face, that's the other thing. So they,
and by people, she means lots online.
Yeah, it was on NPR.
So they didn't have the camera on my face yet because I think they were still trying to get ready. So no one knew it was me that was talking. But then he was like, so what do you like about the Mandalorians? And of course, John and I have been calling him Mandalorian for like ever. So when he said that, that's what went in my head. And I was like, don't say this. Don't say this. Like the meme of like,
Coward.
don't say it, don't say it, don't say it.
I didn't tell
don't
you
say
this,
it.
Lacey, but I knew it was you because of your voice.
Did you?
Like, yes. So I
think we
turned,
both kind of pieced it
I was
together.
like on my phone and I like lifted my head up and I turned to John and I go, is that Lacey? And then we start looking and we're trying to like sort it out. And then he's like, what do you love about the Mandalorian? And I'm like, oh, this will be good. And you're like, I like the armor and stuff.
No, wait,
or whatever.
there's a pause.
I think James was
paused.
like, is that
Yeah.
Lacey? And I was like, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I paused
At
and
that
he
point.
goes, and I was just like, because in my head I'm going Mandalorian. And then Warwick's like, you hesitated. And I was like, the armor. I like the armor. And of course, the Mandos in the audience helped me out and they were like, hurrah. And I was like, yeah, thanks, guys. And then he moved on.
Meanwhile, I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm like laughing hysterically. I'm like, she is such in a corner right now. Warwick, you went to the wrong person.
I know. And the whole time I'm thinking in my head, crap, James and John are going to call me out for being a liar and lying to Warwick's face.
Lacey was like, so Warwick is like the teacher, and he's calling on Lacey, who didn't read the book, to give her like what her thoughts.
I read the
on
background. I'm looking at the cover going, they got cool armor.
The book. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just read the back cover of the book.
Yeah.
It was rough.
I think it's going to be a wonderful show, and
Me
I'm
too.
excited to. And I do have to say this: people are going to get mad at me. That's all right. That's happened before. So people
mad
were
at you
upset.
every day.
Yeah, there you go. People were upset that people saw footage there at Celebration, but I have to say this: they show footage to investors all the time, shareholders all the time, stuff that we don't get to see, and people don't get mad about that because they're like, "Oh, they're elite shareholders." But you know what, guys? People paid to go to Star Wars Celebration. You know, we paid money to go to these panels. We paid money to go to this event, and it I guess it is a little bit of a privilege to see that stuff, but these are fans seeing this footage. Like, we're not some big wig investors or shareholders being shown this information in a boardroom or whatever. We're fans too, and we just happen to be lucky enough to see that footage. Now, I understand the frustrations, but to get mad or bitter towards people who saw it, I don't think that's the right way to go about things. And there's probably a reason why they haven't shown the stuff yet, and I'm sure they will show stuff eventually, but all we can do is honor their request, and even Jon Favreau's request not to leak the stuff. And we gave our best description of the material, so we hope you dug that, like Bill Burr being in the show and that sort of thing. But it's going to be a good time, and I hope we can all just get together and enjoy it together. Do we want to talk Clone Wars, guys? What, James, you went there. I know we're getting late on the show here. Do you want to just gloss over Clone Wars quick and what they showed you? Ahsoka Maul, that sort of thing. What happened there?
Yeah. So they brought in a full cast, which was really cool. But then they showed us some stuff, and I think that's the main thing that everybody was really excited to, because there was a lot of really good jokes about Dave Filoni's trust tree and the secrets and all this stuff, and it was really good. But no, they showed us 3 clips, and the one for me was the Bad Batch. They showed this group of new Clone Wars that are like Unit 99 or something like that. I can't remember. But these guys are basically like the Ninja Turtles. There's like, a big buff one. There's like a leader. There's like a gadget one. And they work really well together. They showed this scene of them, and there's this huge thing of droids coming at them. And Rex is like, hey, we're going to have to take positions around, and we're going to have to move around this. There's no way to get through. And they're like, sorry, but that's just not how we do it here, sir. And then the 4 of them just like move their way 300 style through these droids by doing things like calculating the angle and power to throw a grenade, and then like it's up in the air, and then the other guy shoots it, and it's like strategically like just the 4 of them mowing through these droids and stuff. It just looks really cool. And of course that was the big takeaway clip for me. But then the end of it, you get a full trailer, which is now released online, so everybody's seen that. I don't want to talk about that, but what was really cool was also finding out that they brought in Ray Park for this as well to mocap the moves of Darth Maul. So this is not something I've heard this sometimes like with Rebels. I'm like, man, what a great lightsaber fight. And they're like, yeah, but it's animated though. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are moving too quick and stuff like that. I think that this is like that solution. When you see this fight between Darth Maul and Ahsoka, it's going to go down, and it's going to look really, really, really good, because it really is Darth Maul in person doing these fights. I think that's just going to be amazing. And I will say Sam said too that he thinks this is the best of Darth Maul.
Sam who?
Sam Witwer.
Oh, okay.
You guys all know. Yeah. But Sam said that this is the peak. He is like so excited for you to see this particular story with Maul, because it is just like choice.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And did they reveal a release date on that? Is it Disney Plus?
We already knew Disney Plus, but I actually don't remember if they released any details on the date or anything.
Because is Disney Plus in November, right? So it's got
Disney Plus is coming out in November at bare minimum 18th, because Mandalorian will release with it. So
November 12th, I think Mandalorian is.
Oh, 12th. So, I thought it was 18th.
So
and then the video game is the 15th.
So Clone Wars not till after that. So there you go.
Or the same day.
Yeah, right. So a lot of stuff coming in the fall for Star Wars for sure. All right, so that wraps that. And then that night, Black Series Rebels again. Well, we're going to name drop them a few times, I guess. They held a pin drop event of a pin that Lacey requested of them to make, which was what, Lacey?
Sad and shirtless.
Sad and shirtless. So it's Kylo Ren. You know their pins. Those guys, they're the pin kings for sure.
If there's one thing I've done for this community, it's this pin.
So it's a shirtless Kylo Ren pin that they gave out, and it was a good time hanging out with them. And Star Wars Explained, we had a blast. That was our goodbye, Lacey, to Star Wars Celebration. James had one more day to go, though. I had fun. You and I had drinks. We had a good time dancing and having fun. Cramming into that photo booth was a chore for sure, but a good time.
Attacking John with the spray bottle when we got back.
It's never a chore when it's all great people.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
It was a lot of fun and a surreal event to be hanging out with with a lot of people that are just like the coolest individuals, and at the same time like people that, you know, fans of Star Wars would like to hang out with. So it was as a fan, I was having fun with hanging out with some of the BSR crew.
Yeah,
Sean's really good at slapping the bass. That's what I learned.
I was picking the bass, doing the high set bass for sure. Yeah, doing a little slapping, little Geddy Lee.
And it was they were just blaring all that
punk,
2000s,
late 90s, early 2000s punk,
pop punk. Yeah, it's like Jimmy Eat World, Starting Line, Yellow
Middle school,
Card,
high school for
Good
me.
Charlotte,
All American Rejects,
all that stuff, All American Rejects. Like every song that you think like, oh, okay, you know, I would sing at the top of my lungs this song because I don't like this band, but this song's pretty cool. Like
Yeah,
this,
so-
it's that stuff.
Yeah, Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained, and Zach, who was with them, their crew guy. Of course, Alex and Steve from BSR, their crew guy, and Matt Martin was there with Amanda Jean. They're such nice people. Lacey got a manicure at the bar, so that was
Not to mention Nick from Bayside, who
Nick
was
from
hosted
Bayside.
by, which was really cool because I got to chat some music stuff with him, which was kind of a throwback as well.
So
I just kept yelling "play Yellow Card" for like 2 hours.
Yeah, Lacey kept
And they
wondering for the
did.
yellow
It was
card.
the best song.
I
of
was
the
hoping
night.
they were
Gotta
going to
admit.
play "The Devil Wears Prada" because I wanted to see James do a little moshing, but
It's too metal, man. Too metal.
yeah.
It was too much.
One day. All right, so guys, that was a great end for us. But James, since we are up against time, do you want to do just a brief rundown on your Monday, being the Phantom Menace panel, trying out Vader Immortal, and Star Wars Resistance, with the caveat knowing that you can go to our YouTube channel and get James's full breakdown on that stuff. So you ended celebration for us Monday.
Oh yeah. So I can pretty much sum all this up in 3 words. Where's your pie?
Oh no!
Oh, God. This is something we need to iron out, guys.
I totally forgot about that until you just said that. I'm not even kidding.
Forgot about the friggin' pie.
Where's your pie?
Okay, guys. So, as you know,
No.
the Kenobi series, movie, whatever, was not announced at Star Wars Celebration, which means Lacey and I have to get hit in the face with a pie by James. We may leave it up to you guys to decide whether you want James to actually do it and hit us in the face.
Or we could do
which
it to
means
each other.
We'll wait, or we each pie ourselves, or Lacey and I pie each other for James, and he gets to watch eating popcorn. We'll let you guys. Maybe we'll let our patrons decide. Maybe we'll let the whole audience decide. We'll figure it out. But either way, James won the bet. So congratulations, James.
I refuse to clap.
I'm not gonna do it.
And that's
it.
it, guys. That's the end of our Star Wars Celebration experience.
Super show.
I want to thank all of our fans who went. I'm not going to start naming names because I'll miss some, but you know who you are, whether you're a patron or just a listener or Star Wars Newsnet reader. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you so much to Val Trichkoff from Star Wars Newsnet, the owner of the website, who supports the podcast, gives us a great audience to view it, and the whole Star Wars Newsnet team who covered Celebration while I was on the floor there. Thanks to you guys.
Not to mention the individuals who were there as well.
Yes, Grant was there, Justin was there, Chris Manning was there for sure. James and Lacey, I think you guys absolutely crushed it. I had a great time meeting and hanging out with you guys. It was just a blast the whole time. But that's it, guys. Do we move on to the outro here? Do you guys have anything else you want to say about Celebration other than we'll see you guys in Anaheim?
No, outro. Let's do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys,
I answered for James.
it.
you guys can, if you're new to the podcast, because we've had some new friends come aboard joining the Resistance, thank you for joining us. I hope you're enjoying what we do here. This isn't our normal episode. This is a recap, so be sure to check us out on Monday.
Super show.
What we're going to dive into the news. Super show?
Mario Super Show.
But make sure you do
Super show.
subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, or YouTube. You can also find us on Patreon. We do exclusive stuff every day on our Patreon page, starting at $2 a month. So go to patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. If you want some merch, like our Make Solo 2 Happen shirts that went sort of viral, thanks to John Kasdan, the writer of Solo, retweeting the movement. Go to tpublic.com/user/Resistance Broadcast. And I do want to give a special thanks to our Patreon generals. You guys know who you are. We got a chance to meet one of you. That is Adam Odell. And then, of course, our other generals who are holding it down for us always. Your support is so wonderful. That's Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Don Boring, Aaron Quinton, and, of course, Val Trichkoff. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate that. And all of our listeners and supporters. Now, you guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. Make sure you go to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day, especially now that the news is ramping up, for your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. A force for news. James Baney, what's up, man? Where you at? Where can people find you when you're not getting pie in your face?
I'm not getting pie in my face,
That's what I
so I
mean.
guess never.
Yeah.
At Meyer Trunks, it's right there, and it's a Dragon Ball reference, but I love Star Wars. This is to all the new people. Yeah, we're all Star Wars fans. Come and join us, Twitter, all that stuff. Thanks for tuning into the episode. And Celebration was amazing. My first convention ever, and it was massive.
Big success.
Babies first.
Lacey, how about you?
Babies first, she kept saying.
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I talk about Star Wars and have a good time. I want to take a second to thank John and James again, because I wouldn't be sitting here.
Wow. Well, thank you
very
very much.
And this weekend changed my life. So thank you to everyone that said hi to me, supported me, tweeted me from afar. You're all so wonderful, and it means so much to me. So thank you.
Awesome.
Oh,
Very
I have something I didn't think of. My wife texted me over the weekend. She said, you know, you're such a nerd or with the Star Wars stuff. She's joking, but she said I married a rock star and now look at you. And I responded with, I'm still a rock star. I just play different music now. And the whole weekend was just such a throwback for me, because I felt like I joined a new band. Like this is what it felt like. The hotel rooms, like after the show is over, you go back and you're hanging out with these people and you go to dinner with them and you're this and this and this, and it feels like a small little family. And like, no matter who we meet, like this group was the core group, you know what I mean? It was always like, we're at a party and we're hanging out with people like who are in these other bands, but at the same time, like that one and that one belongs to me, you know? It's like, it was just a really cool thing. What, Lacey took that the wrong way, like
Belongs to you. I belong
well,
to
yeah,
you.
like when somebody says like John did this and you're like, who John? My John? You
Right.
know, like
John.
the guy.
My boys.
Or as
My
James
boys.
would say, which Matt? My Matt? Matt Martin?
Matt's gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. I can't even follow that up. So all I'm going to say is thank you all. This my big fish
Lacey
moment.
is your favorite person on this planet.
my big
John,
fish
I
moment
know.
Okay.
Yeah. Did that come through right? Is that what he said? Yeah, I think that's what he
Yeah,
said.
I think that's
John, thank you so much. I can sign your stuff later. Let's not do this.
God.
On
Hey guys, let me tell you something. We're going to be back with you guys on Monday morning with another episode, because it's time to really dive into all this stuff. There's so much to talk about. We may have to do 5 episodes a week, honestly. But I just wanted to again say thank you to everybody. I did have my big fish moment. It was wonderful. I love you guys. Love James and Lacey. We're just getting started, kids. So come aboard. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, at Star Wars Newsnet. The base is always open. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you. Enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you on Monday morning right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.
Bye.